Action. Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. It's going to be a great, great show today. We got the legend Don Frye here. His sensei is with him. I think he's, I'm not sure, Joe Biden is his sensei. We also have Ween Dog is here.
What's up, dude?
It's going to be a great show. We're waiting for Greg Romero Wilson. We got Kenney joining us. It's going to be a great show. I am so happy because I went back to stand-up comedy this week, and I actually did my first live show in 6 months.
Awesome.
And comedy, it's like heroin. It's like I got my fix, you know. I don't know, Don. Have you ever had that? Like when you haven't fought in a while, and you get back in the cage or the octagon. It's the best feeling in the world, right?
Yeah, but I didn't bomb as bad as you did, so you know it was a little bit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I got to say, Greg's here. I got to say, you know, I was talking about Greg. It was my first live show back in like 6 months. And I got to say, as much as I hate those Zoom shows because it's like stand-up comedy without the laughter or anything.
You gotta be used to that, though. That's your gig.
Well, I'm telling you, the live shows, those Zoom shows helped a lot because I was actually able to you know, I had my jokes down and I kind of had like the beats and where to go. So I got to give it was like running without weights. You know how you run with weights for a long time?
Right.
So, and the thing is that the crowds that came wanted to laugh. It wasn't like anyone that's coming out during COVID to a live comedy show doesn't get offended, needs to laugh. People were thanking me afterwards going, this is some fucked up times right now. Thank you. Nobody walked out. It was an amazing.
Could you imagine how bad you gotta be to walk somebody during this? You know, I mean, there's only like 3 things you can go do. They finally get to go do one, and then they're like, yeah, no, not this.
No, it was awesome. I had like 30 new minutes of jokes. So I was super happy, and you know, it was hard because I drove to Arizona with my wife, and we're fighting because you know I sometimes don't think before I speak and. I said something where like, you know, the kids are better off growing up with a mom and dad together. And I forgot that my daughter was raised by a single mom. And then my wife was raised by a single mom.
I was about to say, wait a minute. This doesn't,
I forgot my wife was a single
I was
mom.
like, what are you telling us, Adam? What are you
telling us? And then she's like, well, I turned out okay. I'm like, well, I didn't mean you. And then that created a fucking shitstorm of me going to statistics of how many people in jail were raised by single families. Like there was just, so then I finally get there.
You couldn't just apologize? That never came up as an option?
No, it never does.
Never.
Then it's 6 hours of driving. I get to the comedy condo. They don't have the keys for me. They hit the wrong key. So now I got to break into the condo, which is in like a complex. So now I'm like hopping fences, going behind. I forget that Arizona's like open carry. So anyone could just like blast me for breaking in if I get the wrong condo. So it was just one of those things where I got in, but it was fine. But no, of course, my wife had to work. So the whole day I'm like with my daughter all day long and then doing comedy at night. And so I'm like, why did I bring my family? I've been with them for the last 6 months. I could have had this weekend free, but I'm super happy I did. We did like the train thing. We did that. And there were so many fighters that came and supported, which was awesome. I saw Ricard Close came with Courtney Casey, which is funny because like they're both fighters in a relationship. So from the stage, I was like, "Hey, Courtney, is Ricard like in bed the way he fights, where he's good for 5 minutes and he gasses out and goes to sleep?" And that guy, he was dying laughing. And then Rob Emerson came, Rob Emerson, his first fight, he was in jail. And his first fight ever getting out of jail was against Jens Pulver, the champion. It's like a movie. And he went the distance with him. Like, that wouldn't happen today. And I was like, was it like Rocky where they like, remember when Apollo was looking for opponents and he was like, this guy's the Italian. Like, I mean, how did they find the guy in jail to fight him? Which was awesome. He came. And then what's his name came to the fight? Henry Cejudo came, the champ.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
He had a whole crew with him, and I'm like, well, I got to roast him. I have to. So I'm on stage, and I'm like, Henry, I was there when you won your fight. It was awesome. You know, you walked around like you were 5 feet tall. Henry Cejudo's the only fighter that goes into the ice bath wearing floaties. Thank God I heard him laughing, so I'm like, should I keep going? But he was awesome. And then afterwards, his buddy was there, who was like a battle rapper. and he was rapping against the first comics. I felt like we were in like -4 Mile because it was just like a crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But it was awesome. And Jamie Varner came, and Jamie Varner, I go, you had the knockout of the year. It was on yourself because he knocked himself out during one of his fights. So it was awesome. I was so happy. And Tracy Cortez came, who's probably the hottest female fighter in MMA. She is gorgeous.
She's smoking hot.
Better looking in person. And she's cool. And I give her a lot of credit because I looked her up. She's been through a lot of shit in her life and really come out strong. She's undefeated fight. I think she might have lost one so far. She's 8-1. Got a fight coming up. So I'm happy. I'm happy that I got my fix. I got my live comedy fix back. Don Frye, how you doing?
Good. I wish you'd have called me and reminded me. I'd have maybe went up there and watched. You know?
Oh, man. Well, the last time you watched, I got thrown out of the club for insulting the waitress. So, but how was your weekend? What did you do?
Oh, hell, what did I do? Shit. I went down to Sierra Vista and picked up my bulldog. We got my buddy Jeff. He took her down there for the weekend. And she just jumped in his truck. She wouldn't get out. So he had to take her, you know, for a few days. And then I'd go down there and pick her up. So that was about the extent of my weekend, you know. So I'm doing a lot better with my back. The physical rehab's been working. So shit, yesterday as I was walking, you know, if I wasn't driving, I was walking, standing up, you know. Not perfectly straight, but, you know, like a little bit like a hunchback. Look at you, you know. So.
Greg Frye, what are you doing next weekend?
You know, I'm probably gonna go and I'm gonna eat a cactus. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. That's my breakfast. I'm gonna eat a cactus. Then I'm gonna build a tank out of old cigars, and that would then fire those off, and then I'll probably take a nice, you know, I got these new bath bombs that are actually made out of nails. So I'm gonna take a bath bomb.
That sounds like a real manly thing.
I tell you what, Greg, you need to get even with whoever gave you that haircut.
Listen, man, it's not my best hair day. Not my best hair day.
It's not even. Holy shit!
I don't know what happened. It didn't go right. It's also the background. I do the virtual background. It makes it look weird.
Greg, how was your weekend though? For real?
What? You know what? Friday night was poker night, and I got so drunk that I was pretty much hungover for the rest of the weekend. Like, I mean, I kind of ruined the weekend by getting entirely too drunk on Friday. But then Monday was good. I felt better.
And Ween Dog?
Dude, I had a great weekend. I saved my friend from an overdose on my Twitch stream. I was just streaming, playing games with my friend, and all of a sudden it sounded like he stopped breathing. You know, it's no big deal. It happens to us sometimes. But I called his little brother. I said, go check on your brother. And he went and saved him. And, you know, long story short, I saved somebody's life on my Twitch stream. So if you want to see just heroic action like this, go to twitch.tv/weendog. And trust me, it'll be worth it.
You want to see heroic action like this?
I'm serious.
You want to see someone? You want to see a real superhero saving lives? Follow me on Twitch.
Yep.
So,
what game were you playing when you realized your friend was dying?
We were playing a game called League of Legends.
Okay, yeah, League of Legends. That's a huge game. I mean,
huge.
They have those.
Yes.
They have those giant. They sell out Staples Center every year to do the big finals of League of Legends, and it's like esports. Like, you know, a lot of people don't realize how big it is, but they sell that fucker out.
Yeah, it's gigantic, and I will not be attending one of those things on the stage as a gamer competitor.
Let's talk about the fights for a second. We got a lot to handle here. So, Overeem versus Sakai. You watched the fight, Don?
Yeah, it was great, man. He did a hell of a job.
Did you really watch the fights?
I saw the clip.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Now, look, like we all predicted that Overeem was going to win this fight because he beats guys that he should beat, and he loses to the guys I think he thinks he should lose to. But he did some dangerous things where he would back up against the cage and just let the guy punch him. And not just once, but like over and over. You know how like sometimes boxers do that?
Yeah.
But I feel like that was a really dangerous game to play in MMA. In boxing, maybe it's a little easier because guys aren't throwing elbows at you or kicking, or they can't take you down. And look, the gamble worked out for Overeem. He won the fight. But I think he kind of got, I wouldn't say lucky, but he was lucky he wasn't against a harder striker. Because if he does that against a guy like the Black Beast or other guys, he's going to get fucked up. Don, your thoughts?
Yeah, it looked a little shaky to me, but, like you say, it's different in boxing because you have so many more weapons to use in MMA. So he took a hell of a risk, but, he's man enough to pull it through. He did it.
Would you ever do that?
Not on purpose.
Greg, thoughts on the fight?
Man, I thought he was doing like a Nogueira. When I saw him do it, I thought he was doing like a possum. Like Nogueira, when he would act like he was injured just to get too close and then come back. That wasn't the case. He literally was just taking shots. And I thought that was weird too. I was like, okay, that's not on purpose. And you're right. I mean, he could have lost that if it had gone to decision.
Yeah. Ween Dog?
I thought it was a great fight. I like this new Alistair Overeem. I think he's training in Colorado now.
Yeah.
He's training with people like Curtis Blades. So his wrestling has greatly improved. His ground and pound is impeccable right now. He's won like 5 out of his last 4 fights, or 5 out of his last, not 4, 6, whatever it is. But he's on a tear right now. So it's just, he's old. He's 43 years old. I don't know where he goes from here. Does he go fight Derek Lewis? He's very old right now.
It seems like Black Beast wanted to fight him because the Black Beast kept scoring every round to the other guy 10-7, 10-6.
Oh yeah. I saw that. That was pretty funny.
Now our buddy lost, Alonzo Menifield.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, the Contender Series is like a blessing and a curse because it's a blessing where you get guys that are maybe should be looked at, or guys giving guys a second chance, third chance. The bad part is that maybe if the guy would have stayed in the LFA or the RFA or even like a Bellator a little longer, maybe he'd be more groomed to when he gets to the big show. Because it seems like Alonzo Menifield is better than everybody who's like 15 down, but then ranked 15 down. But then he gets to that higher level, and he seems a little lost because he's knocked out everybody else in the first round. So he doesn't know what the fuck to do. It seems like he's sort of a little bit like, what should I do? And against a guy like OSP, he also got knocked out for the first time in his career. And I think that that's also could be a blessing, Don, because I think a lot of guys think that they can't get knocked out until they do get knocked out. And they fight a lot safer after that point. Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, I got 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and I got too cocky. I didn't train as hard, and then in the cage walked Smart Coleman and beat the piss out of me, for 9.5 minutes. And I was just a punching dummy to him, and a workout dummy, and I deserved it. That's what happens, and it helped me pull my head on my ass. After he shoved my head up my ass deeper, it helped me pull it out.
But who was the first guy to get knocked you out cold?
Yeah, I don't know. It happened. I got knocked out a couple times doing the pro boxing. But I think first anybody who knocked me out was LeBanner. LeBanner.
The crazy part, he's not talking to anybody. There's no one next to him.
That LeBanner fight was a K1 fight.
I'll tell you who looked great, and it's a great case of less is more, is that guy Michael Pajea. Because so many times, he's got to be the most frustrating guy to coach ever, because he does all these like forward cartwheel kicks and spinning off the cage and all this crazy stuff. But if he just tones it back a little bit, he's actually a good fighter, a great fighter. And he did that this time. But that guy's going to be dangerous for a lot of people.
That just drives me crazy. It makes me want to grab a fly swatter and go after him,
Well, that's what I kept thinking. I was like, clearly you got to wrestle this guy. You got to grab him and take him down. I mean, because otherwise he's going to be dancing around and doing that shit in your face. And it seemed to really get to that guy in the head. the other guy, what's
Zalim Amediev.
Amediev. Yeah, that he seemed to really by the end, like at first he seemed to think it was a game, but then by the end, because he kept like when he was like looking at his hands and slapping the shit out of him. I mean, he really got in his head, man. And it was like, dude, you have tackle this motherfucker. Stop him from dancing around.
Well, guys from Dagestan aren't known for their senses of humor.
Yeah, he
But
didn't
you
like
know,
it.
you got to do like the old Dusty Rhodes bull rope match or Terry Funkhouse match, you know. Get in there with the rope and tie it around each other's ankles, you know, or each other's wrists. They can't run away.
Well, I mean, I've never had a comedy show and go, I hope the crowd's from Dagestan tonight. You know, like they're not. So,
but I mean, he couldn't. I mean, it was really incredible domination. I mean, he dominated him.
yeah.
It was, and it was so much fun to watch. That guy is entertaining as fuck.
Yeah.
If he can stay on his feet and get to do all that stuff and win fights, it was entertaining as hell. I mean, he was really pulling off all that crazy Superman stepping off the cage shit and all that. But really the slapping, when he would look at his own hands like, I'm going to slap you, and then he would fucking slap the shit out of him. I was just like, this is fucking crazy. This
What about
guy,
the stoppage,
like,
though?
I was like,
No,
is
seriously?
he this good?
He's got a great future in the WWE, that's for sure.
He absolutely
For
does.
sure, man.
Don, who was the person? what was the maddest you ever been in the octagon or the ring?
What's that now?
What's the maddest you've ever been? Like, have you ever been actually furious while you were fighting?
No, I shut off all my emotions before the fight, you know? So, I just go in there with blank, you know, just like a fucking shark, you know?
That's Adam's approach to parenting.
Yeah, pretty much.
He just shuts up all his emotions and goes back in there.
To life, actually. What about during pro wrestling? Did anybody ever hit you harder than you wanted to be hit?
Oh, yeah, but, you know, it's called a receipt, you know, because I would screw up. They wanted me to be stiff. Real stiff, but I guess they didn't tell my opponent, the guy I was working with, you know. So, you know, I'd pepper them, and then they give me a receipt, you know. Shit, that's how I broke my damn neck, you know, doing pro wrestling. Is you know, guys went after it.
Now you always hear that some shoots that go wrong, like it's supposed to be a regular wrestling match, ends up in a real fight. Does that really happen?
Oh yeah, guys get pissed, or else, you know, the promoter will tell you, you know, hey, this guy's causing problems. I want you to put the boots to him, you know. And you know, they told me to go stiff on Vader, you know, and I went stiff. I didn't think I went as stiff as what he thought, but him and Steve Williams, Dr. Death. You know, after the match in the locker room, you know, they were talking. They thought I was out there trying to kill the guy.
Wow. On Vader?
On Vader, yeah.
I remember Vader. I remember him from a Boy Meets World episode.
He was a big athletic fucker. He got into pro wrestling because he would stand up and do a handstand and walk around the ring. You know, guy athletic as hell.
How come you never went to the WWE?
Let's see. Back in '97, I think Scott Frazzo and I went up there for an interview, and you know, Frazzo was a used car salesman, and he had that attitude. He went there and told him how we were going to change things and how we wanted it and all that, and they showed us the door.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Ryan Kelleher versus Ray Rodriguez. The guy I know, they call him Ray the Judge. You've had him on the podcast before. There's a guy that I like Ray a lot, but if anybody ever needs a sports psychologist, it's this dude, because every time he steps up, he doesn't fight the way he does when he's on in the LFA or like a lower tier. He just can't. Something happens, and I get it. You know, you start doubting yourself or whatever, but like he knew that he must have known Brian Kelleher is amazing at the guillotine. I mean, everyone knows that. And he went in for a double leg, left his neck out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I'm sure it happens. But if there's ever a need for a sports psychologist, that's the guy. All right, now let's talk about.
Didn't he take it on like half a day notice?
Yeah. He was like basically like in the crowd. They were like, "Come on down," and fucking.
Yeah. You're up.
He's like, now let's.
That's like when you go to hang out at a show and they're like, "You want to go up?" And you're like, "Fuck yeah, I'll go up." And you're the next comic on. You just happen to be there hanging out. They're like, "Hey, you want to fight this guy? We just lost one."
It's basically what happened. Now we got some MMA news. First of all, Nick Diaz is coming back. His manager says he's coming back. Who should he fight? Already, what's his name? Darren Till wants to fight him. That would be a good fight. I don't know. That's a tough fight for Nick Diaz, taking, 4 or 5 years off or however long?
6. I think it's been 6.
6 years. But you talk about the shit talk going on in that fight. I mean, those are that would be a good fight. Who would you like to see Nick Diaz fight? Greg, Weendog, Frye?
Which one you want, boy? Don or Greg?
He asked all of us at the same time.
You guys think I'm trying to think right now. No one's coming to mind.
I think the Robbie Lawler fight would be a great fight, just based off of how Robbie has looked, and it would be a rematch. I think because I don't know if you want to give Nick Diaz like a top 10 or even a top 15 fight for his first fight back after 6 years.
I think the rematch aspect of that makes sense. I mean. And
Yeah,
they're both. I mean, you already know where Lawler's at, so at least you get an idea of where Nick is.
Yeah, but they're paying him so much money, they're not going to want to put him up against a guy that no one's ever heard. I mean, not that Robbie Lawler. People, the way that Robbie's looked in his last couple fights, people are not going to be excited for that fight. I mean, they're not. Unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe like a Leon Edwards or even Masvidal, if a little bit past the Masvidal versus Nate too.
That would be kind of cool, brother versus brother. All right.
No, wait, that was the fight I was going to suggest, Masvidal.
Yeah. Now Masvidal got called out by that guy Michel Pere. That would be a fun fight to watch.
That would be a hell of a fight. That's what I was thinking. I was like, isn't Masvidal throw him in Masvidal right off the bat, coming back after? I mean, I don't know. That seems like it's too much.
He's got that belt. He's got the fucking belt. Come on, he's got to defend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Nick Diaz, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's too soon to throw him at.
Just give him Conor McGregor. Let's just do Nick Diaz versus Conor McGregor and get on with our lives.
Tell me you wouldn't want to watch that though.
Oh, I'd pay for it.
Now, on my Twitter account under Adam Comedian Weendog, if you want to pull up this clip. So this has nothing to do with MMA, but I want to get. I know Greg's a football fan. You're an expert. You have your own podcast, your own, right? What's it called?
Fantasy Football Harsh Reality.
Right. Now, these 3 girls have a podcast, and one of them says that Odell Beckham likes to be shit on. That Odell
Right.
Beckham,
I've heard about this. It's going around today.
Yeah, Odell Beckham flew the girl on a plane and said, "Don't take a shower for 24 hours. I want to see a video of you taking a shit." And then she shits on him, on his chest. Do you believe this? And what's going on with this world right now?
I think he's gonna be Biden's running mate, right?
I think Biden already has a running mate, Kamala Harris. But it just, I mean, is this what we're doing now? Do people have too much money? Is that the problem?
I think it's when you're a guy like that, because let's say he's rich, he's famous, and he's good looking, and he has been all these things for a while. I think at a certain point, just getting pussy just gets old. It ain't even a challenge, You got to do something weird just to get off, and it's like then you get shit on your chest.
It does seem like it goes from I remember Jake the Snake Roberts was saying it starts off with you and your wife, you and a girl, then a threesome, then a foursome, then you're watching 2 girls go at it. You just keep lifting it. Next thing you know, you're in Antifa. Do you now? I mean, do you think this is what's going on? But why is he? Why this? Don, have you ever had a girl shit on you? Is that something you're into?
Or what's the most number of girls you've had shit on you at one time?
Well, I had 2 ex-wives, so that's pretty much. Yeah, through the divorce, they shit on me hard during the divorce.
Of
So,
course,
yeah.
of course. But I mean, but you know a lot of professional athletes and wrestlers. They're into some weird stuff, right, Don? Did they ever try to get you into their like cult?
Partner, I'd lock the door. I'd hide. Lock the door and hide. I'm not into that stuff, man.
All right, so that's that. Also, if you want to go on Instagram, Ween Dog, Mike Kogan, under Mike Kogan, he posts a video of Luke Rockhold sparring, and they're going at it. Him and forgot the guy's name. Really good fighter, the guy that just beat somebody in the UFC. I think he beat Jordan Mean, the good fighter in Bellator, and they're going at it hard. And I know that Conor McGregor's coach, Coach Kavanaugh, says this is how you shorten guys' careers. There's no point to this kind of sparring. Other people were saying no, iron sharpens iron. Don, what's your thoughts on hard sparring?
No, that's completely fucking stupid. That's why all those guys in AKA were injured. You know, you got to be able to get to the goddamn championship fight, you know, in order to be a champion. You know, if you get hurt in practice, how you going to defend the title? You know, or how you going to win the title? That's just fucking stupid. You know, the sparring partner is the one supposed to take the fucking hits, not the guy going to fight.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. It seems like what's the point of this? Ween Dog, bring it up when you can.
How do you spell Kogan?
Kogan. And then
Well,
also,
and that's the thing. Not only that, I mean, how many times does it ruin the fight that you're training for because you end up going in there with an injury already, and it ends up costing you the fight?
Well, that's what I just said for 5 minutes, Greg. Weren't you listening to what the hell I was talking about?
Well, yes, I was listening, but I'm saying, same point. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I agree.
What they got to do is they got to hunt their own animal and they kill it with their bare hands. Then you rip out the heart and you drink the blood, and now you're ready for a fight.
By the way, Don, I don't know if I told you, I ran into Chuck Liddell at a party last week, and I was talking to Chuck, and he told me that the night before Randleman, did I tell you the story? The night before Randleman
Yes.
knocked out, I told you that until Don, knocked out Crow Cop, Chuck Liddell said, they asked him, what should we do tomorrow? Coleman and Randleman, they go, you don't have a plan? And they said, no. So they went into the fight the night before, and he goes, well, you want to be all the way in or all the way out? Next day, he knocks out Crow Cop. These guys didn't have plans back then?
Yeah, I think they were pulling Chuck's leg, you know?
Oh, really?
Hell yeah.
But then he said that before he fought Fedor, Coleman asked Chuck, how do I defend an ankle lock? And he told him a heel hook. And he taught him how to fight a heel hook the night before. Is that possible?
Oh yeah, that's real possible. Absolutely. I mean, you try and gather as much knowledge or any knowledge, you know, up to the last fucking second, you know. I mean, if you're walking in there and the guy, you take off your slippers, you know, and you give everybody a hug, and the guy greases you down. You know, if you go a bit, hey, watch out, this guy's heavy on the left hook. All right, well, you know, you absorb everything you can.
Wow. That's just wild. Those guys those are the good old days, man. I like miss old MMA. I mean, I love the new stuff, but the new guys too. But the old guys were just characters without trying to be characters. You know, it seems like now it's like these guys get together and go, okay, I'm going to be this guy. I'm that guy. But you guys were just yourselves. And
Just a menagerie of misfits, you know?
exactly. I told Chuck that Tito Ortiz is running for state assembly. He should run against Tito. That would be hilarious.
That would be so great. That would actually be the best thing to happen to both their careers.
Well, Chuck says he thinks he would beat him. I honestly think he probably
He
would
might.
in Orange
Yeah.
County. Yeah.
I don't know. He's the Huntington Beach bad boy. He has a lot of sway down there.
But so does Chuck Liddell.
Tito can
That's
formulate
true.
a sentence. Tito can formulate a sentence. You know, I don't know if Chuck is still capable of doing that.
Really? But can he, though? All right, so fights coming up this week. In Bellator, we got Phil Davis versus Machida. Machida never wins a rematch. And I think it's because guys have no idea what's going on in the first fight, and they kind of figure it out by, like, round 3, and it's over. The fight's over. Where in the rematch, they kind of get a better sense of what's going to happen. Phil Davis is a guy that he's so overlooked. I mean, he's only lost – he has 5 losses, but I think those Bader fights could be overturned. I mean, not overturned, but those could be contested where you could say that Phil Davis won that fight. And then he lost to Rashad Evans in his prime, Anthony Rumble Johnson in his prime, and Nemkov, who just knocked out Bader by split decision. He's a guy that no one ever talks about, and I don't know why. He doesn't really cause that much controversy. He doesn't talk much shit. He's just a good fighter and a nice guy. But I hope Phil wins because I like Phil. Also, he's a buddy of mine. But Machida's also one of those dudes just so fucking hard to fight and hard to look good against. Almost nobody does unless you knock him out in the first round.
Do you expect him to look better or do you expect him to look slower?
I think Machida will look slower. I think eventually.
See, exactly. I think so too, which makes him much easier to pin down than the Machida of old. I mean, Machida of old was very awkward and, I think now he's slower and definitely easier to get to. I mean, this isn't the same Machida. You know what I mean?
So I'm picking Phil. Are you picking Phil?
Oh yeah.
Don?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's my choice. I mean, Machida's always aggravated the piss out of me because he runs. He doesn't fight. He runs, and I just hate that.
They are very boring fights. They are. He avoids contact a lot, and and waits to pick his moments. And you're right. It can't make for a very uninteresting fight. But I think he finds him this time because he's older and slower.
Ween Dog?
He's a smart fighter.
I got Phil Davis winning easily. I mean, Machida's 42. I'm not sure how old Phil is. Let me see. Phil Davis is 35, so there's, a 7-year age gap. I think Phil wins this fairly easily, in my opinion.
Also on this card, Kat Zingano, who I like Kat. She's a good egg. She's fighting Gabe Holloway, who's 6. This is what the problem with Bellator is. They give you the gimme fights, and I believe this is a gimme fight. This girl's 6-5. Kat Zingano. I don't understand why they're making this fight. Maybe they're trying to introduce the fans to Kat Zingano and Bellator, and they want to give her a fight to make her look good, to build her up. But
that sounds exactly right.
But it doesn't make any sense to me because just make it a little bit more competitive. Who knows, though? I mean, we haven't seen Kat in a while. We've seen Kat look amazing, and then we've seen Kat look like she doesn't want to be there. So I'll tell you, did Don leave? Don just left. All right, we got Casey Kenney.
I thought Don had left like his kid in charge or something.
Like, here, look at my kid for a minute while I go squirt out a deuce.
Or he just got much younger. Like Don just went back in time. So Casey Kenney, who came to my show on Thursday night. Thank you, Casey.
Sure, man. It was a pleasure. Had a lot of fun.
It was great seeing you, man. Congrats on everything, bro. You're what's your record now? Like 12-2 or something?
Yeah, 14-2.
14-2.
14-2.
You won like your last 6 out of 7. I was looking at your you started training when you were 5 years old.
Yep.
You were a 9-time national champion in judo.
Yep, that's how this all began. So I can't remember a time I haven't been training. Just like one of my best friends to this day, I had my first sleepover and he was in judo, him and his dad, and I went and watched at like 5 years old, and that's kind of how I got hooked.
Why did your parents put you in judo at 5?
Well, like I was saying, I went to my first sleepover. My friend happened to be in judo that I met in preschool. So he went to practice. I went and watched and came back home and was like, I want to go to this practice, and here we are. I did my first tournament by 6 or 7, and then won my first national title at 10. And then I was hooked by then.
You were also a state champ in wrestling. This is in Oregon, right? Indiana. Why did you say you were born in Portland?
Portland, Indiana.
Portland, Indiana. Yeah.
Is it Portland?
Yeah,
Indiana?
small town.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Portland. It's 40 miles south of Fort Wayne.
Okay, I got it. Now you were the freestyle champ and Greco champ of Indiana. How did you do in the States in folk style?
Good. I got second my junior year in high school, and then I took 4th my senior year. And then I went to wrestle at the University of Indianapolis for about 2 years. And then that was kind of when I decided my future was going to be in Arizona and I was going to be an MMA fighter. And I just kind of up and left.
Your coach must have been thrilled.
Yeah, the parents were probably even more thrilled because I was on a full ride wrestling academic scholarship. So,
hey, I did the same.
Hey, I threw one of those away.
It's
Really?
whatever. I like the way life turned out. I was doing good. I had like a B average in school and, had everything that I was supposed to have. And I was like, fuck this. I want to go do something else. I want to be a fighter.
I did the exact same thing with comedy. Coming back on. I don't know where the hell. I think Don Frye thought, because I said, hey, we have Kenney coming on at 12:30. I think he thought he meant like you have to leave. Because we had. He's such a polite guy. Like he actually.
Yeah.
Like he's a super nice guy. Now, I watched a bunch of your fights today. You're fighting against Manny Bermudez. He was like 180 when you guys fought. I mean,
yeah, that guy was big, man.
The size of you.
Yeah, he was big, and I just kind of started coming up from flyweight too. So I hadn't, I walked into the cage like 8 pounds bigger my last fight versus that fight. It was.
Joe, can you hear him?
No.
Oh, I think he froze.
He froze, and now Greg is muted.
Right, Greg's muted. I'm unmuting Greg. Casey, you back? Is his Wi-Fi? Is it my Wi-Fi or his?
No, it's always theirs.
Oh. What do we do?
I think we just have to wait.
All right, so we're waiting.
Wait,
he's back. He's back.
There we go.
Yeah. So that dude was like 180.
Okay, cool. So you didn't hear any of that? I must have had a connection.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. I think it was my fault. I knew he was going to be bigger, but I didn't expect him to be that much bigger. And, but I've been training with big guys for a long time. So it was just, I don't know. It was another round with a big guy pretty much who I was in there. And, I did what I had to do. And I think me being so much smaller than him kind of gave him some problems too. Like he mentioned that in his corner, because it was hard to, lock in where he normally locked in type of thing. And so I think me being smaller actually had an advantage in that fight.
Well, I mean, you threw him on his head a couple times. I was like,
yeah,
it was. They were like, dude, he's so much bigger than him, and then you just tossed him on his head. I was like, it was like one for the little guys. It was
yeah. I couldn't get away, man. He was so strong with like that body lock. Like normally I could break out of there, and I wasn't going anywhere. So.
And then you fight with Ray Borg. Initially, when I saw it, I thought you lost because I'm friends with Ray. And I was sort of looking to give him rounds. I watched it again last night. You won that fight.
Yeah, I thought so. He had some good double legs, but that was pretty much, that was the extent of what he got done. So.
And then your last fight against Smoka, holy shit, man. I mean, your leg kicks, you wouldn't even know that you're like a judoka and like a wrestler. You were, wow. You were kicking the shit out of Smoka's legs and then submitted him with a one-arm guillotine. That was impressive as hell.
Yeah, thanks, man. The last one was kind of felt like, everything came together in that fight. It was short notice. It was kind of, middle of a pandemic type thing. And I don't know. I think the craziness sometimes helps.
You know what? I'm the same way, man. Sometimes, like, if you, like when there's chaos, and Greg's kind of that way. It's like we thrive in chaos, dude. There's certain people that like, if you get to a show and everything is sort of like, some of my best shows have been like this went wrong, that went wrong. The fire alarm went off. Somebody died.
The power goes out.
Microphone cuts out. Like
you're just being you. You didn't have like a huge build up, or at least for me, that's normally what it is. It's like the 8 to 10 weeks. It's like the build up of the fight, the camp. The training gets serious. It's like when I'm having fun and, just doing my thing. And then next thing you know, I'm on a plane to go fight somebody. It seems like that's when I do my best. So
I think Don's phone died because I texted him and he's not texting back. Now, a couple things. Are you fighting in 2 weeks? Because according to Wikipedia, you were.
So we were supposed to be on the 19th originally when it was going to be UFC 253, and then my opponent couldn't get a visa to the United States, so they moved us to October 3rd in Fight Island.
Fight Island against the guy from
Nice.
Mongolia.
Yeah, he's called the Mongolian Knight, but he's from China.
So
pretty
China.
much-
Now I've been to Mongolia.
It's basically there, yeah.
Don't overlook those Mongolians. Like
Yeah.
wrestling is their number one sport. That's all they do is wrestle.
Yeah, this guy, I think he tried out for the Olympic team in wrestling and didn't quite make it, but you know how good you got to be to even try out.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been to Mongolia. Like that's all they do. Like they have a huge stadium just for wrestling. Like they don't. Don't overlook this guy.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm wrestling a lot. I'm wrestling a lot with Bryce.
Wow.
Bryce. So he wants to wrestle. It's like I've been wrestling with some of the best, and also he doesn't use his wrestling a whole lot. He stands up, tries to knock people out. At least his last couple fights. I'm not overlooking his wrestling, but he hasn't quite went to it as much. So we'll see what happens.
Now let's talk about Bryce for a second, by the way. So we're talking about Bryce Meredith, who was a two-time finalist, amazing wrestler. He's making the transition to MMA, which is exciting because when I'm coming from a wrestling background, when guys that level go to MMA, you train with him. How is he?
He's good, man. I mean, like you said, his wrestling's on another level, and then he's obviously doing the rest of the MMA. So that's. Like you said, it's nice to learn again. It's nice to be like at the bottom of the striking. There's some of the jiu-jitsu stuff. So
Is he getting frustrated? Because a lot of guys like Bubba Jenkins or some of the other guys who are so good at one thing, sometimes it gets frustrating that they get submitted in triangles or whatever.
Yeah, and he seems to have a good person or a good way about it. Like he's not putting too much pressure on himself. He doesn't have a fight lined up or anything, so he's just kind of in there having fun. But I watch him in there doing the stand-up rounds. The only time I can get him is if I catch him with a submission or something.
Got it.
So he's in there, he's training, and he seems to be loving it, man. He's got a great attitude towards it. So that's half the battle.
Now I love Arizona, but there's 19 MMA gyms. So I don't know. So what happened was Power MMA started with Ryan Bader and those guys, and then some guys left, and then there was the Lab with John Crouch, and then Eddie Cha came in with Henry Cejudo. So now there's 3 different, and people are going from gym to gym. Is it gym wars over there? What's going on?
No, well, I'm kind of new to it since I lived in Tucson and I trained with Chris pretty much my whole career. And it's been, I guess, about 2 years now that I've been bringing the Lab in as well. But basically, I think Power and still all those little other gyms are around. But the Lab and then, Fight Ready was kind of, working its way up there to be the 2 powerhouses, if you have to say. And then, Cha and the Lab had a falling out, and that kind of had some stuff, go in each direction. And so now here we are. I mean, we all, like you said, we all remain friends through most of it.
But right now, if I was going to train, I'd either go to Vegas or freaking Scottsdale, Arizona, because there's just so many great fighters there. And you guys seem to all get along. I mean, a lot of guys from the Lab came and Fight Ready. There wasn't any kind of animosity, which there is a little bit sometimes when Extreme Couture guys come with Syndicate. There's or it seemed like you guys are a little more laid back.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I said, I'm just kind of, I'm enjoying the training. I knew I was bringing the Lab and the Lab only. A lot of the guys that I hang out with, end up going to Fight Ready, but I had no interest or anything like that for that. But it seemed I'm sure there's some animosity somewhere along the line.
There were a lot of girls at the comedy show giving you dirty looks because you had either slept with them or you hooked up with them.
Hey, we'll keep that a secret.
Okay. We don't want to talk about that because it does.
No.
All right, he gets around.
Which gym you're from, that's for sure. I'll sleep with you whether it doesn't matter what gym you go to.
Okay, so your dick is totally it'll be any gym. Okay,
any gym, we're good for that. Yeah.
Nice. Your penis is a traveling black belt.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, listen. Well, good luck with your fight coming up. Big fan of yours, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, brother. Take care.
For sure. You too.
That was Casey Kenney. Nice kid.
Yeah, seems like a good kid. It's such an interesting story the way there are these kids that, just started young and I mean, because obviously so many kids, parents are like, here, we're just going to wear my kid out, send them home tired so they'll go to sleep. And it doesn't stick with them, that doesn't stick. But then there are kids like that they're like, oh, I want to do this forever. And they want to, by the time they're 11 years old, they've already been doing it for 5-6 years. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
It's incredible, but it's also, I think, not to make excuses to why Alonzo Menafield lost, because he lost. But like a guy like that, Alonzo, who is a great football player, who gets into MMA at like 23, 24, is competing against guys that have been doing this since they were 5.
Specifically doing martial arts. Yeah,
and I think it's sometimes when you're athletic enough to hang, it doesn't always translate just because you're like, football players are the best in the world, athletes-wise, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to translate it at that higher level. In the beginning, you'll be able to knock it out.
And I'm glad we went back to the Menafield fight because oddly, Menafield was the betting favorite in that fight, which I thought was very strange. I thought for sure he was going to be the underdog.
Well, when one guy has 1 loss, the other guy has like 8 losses. It's easy to see why,
I don't know. I just think the experience difference was so much greater. I thought for sure St. Preux would have been the favorite. But so he goes in there, he's the favorite. And it seemed to me immediately obvious that he was not a polished, well-rounded fighter. That he was a very strong dude with one thing, power. And I felt like this was the first time that he hit somebody that was used to getting hit that hard. Because when it landed, I was like, oh, shit. But Owens just, he ate it and kept going,
I think there's a little more to that. I think the last fight, he gassed himself out. He never done that before. So this time, he was trying to not gas himself out. When you're trying to not do something, it's different than when you're trying to do something. And I think that could be that was an issue. So in the back of his head, he's like, don't gas yourself out, don't gas yourself out. And he's sort of ignoring the other things he needs to do. It's like when I'm coaching, I hate coaches that say, like, don't back up, don't reach back. Well, maybe don't reach back is okay. But don't back up, don't go for this, don't go for that. You're telling a kid not to do something as opposed to move forward. Take your right hand, put it there.
Right.
So when you're trying to not do something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know what to do. You're just trying not to do something.
Right.
And I think that's a very, very, easy way to put it. But I think he was trying to pace himself. But in doing that, was a little confused as to what do I do while I'm pacing myself? And also, you're right. When you knock out 9 guys in the first round, and then you don't knock out the 10th guy, which is the last fight, Devin Clark, and then the other guy is walking through it, you're like, there's got to be self-doubt there. But that being said, look, he got knocked out with, 8 seconds left in the second round? So let's say he doesn't get knocked out in that. Go to the third round. He was probably down 2-0, but maybe not definite. It could have been 1-1. It was a pretty close fight. Some judges might have.
No, dude, those shots, when he landed them, you were like, it was amazing to me that St. Preux didn't go out.
Yeah,
actually.
So that third round, he might have
hard.
He might have caught him in the third.
Right, he might have. Yeah, I don't think, and I don't know that he expected to get caught with that kind of power out of St. Preux.
No, he definitely did.
But when he did, man, woo, he went
That's
down
when I
hard.
realized how good John Jones was, because I was at the John Jones OSP fight, and OSP landed a shot like fucking clean, and Jones just looked at him, and I'm like, whoa, like, say what you want about John Jones, that guy could take a shot. He could take a shot.
He can.
I mean, he could take a line. All right, so now more fights this weekend. We'll talk about that. Ed Ruth, a guy that has not reached his potential yet. He was like a 3-time national champion in wrestling. He was something amazing in wrestling. And he's fighting Taylor Johnson. I don't know much about Taylor, but I think that Ed Ruth. Now, here's a fight, like, example. Like, Raymond Daniels, okay, is like one of the best kickboxers, Muay Thai in the world. He's must-watch TV. But he's 2-1 in MMA because his first fight, guy took him down and submitted him like 6 years ago. So they're putting him up against a guy who's like 5-6 or 6-5, which on paper makes sense if you took out the fact that this guy is like the best kickboxer in the world. So this is what Bellator is doing. So, like, expect a fucking nightmare of a fight for this guy, Peter Stonik. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about him. I just know that Raymond Daniels is probably going to put another highlight beating on this dude, which is fine. I mean, look, if Bellator, they want to do this, great. It's entertaining, but are they going to be competitive? No. Is the Kat Zingano fight going to be competitive? I don't think so. And I've been wrong, okay? I've been wrong. I did not think that Weili Zhang was going to knock out
Andrade.
Jessica Andrade. I did not think that was going to happen in one round. Jessica Andrade was looking like a fucking world beater at the time. I mean, she picked up Rose Namajunas and dumped her on her head. I mean, she was just knocking people out, and I thought this girl was going to get killed. So what do I know? All right? I'm just giving you my opinion because that's what I'm sort of paid to do. Leslie Smith taking on Amanda Bell.
Sort of paid to do.
Leslie Smith taking on Amanda Bell. Leslie's my girl. And Amanda Bell, I think she's the girl that knocked out Marina, her first fight, Marina's first loss. She hits hard, but Leslie Smith's on a different level. And it's kind of a shame because I feel like Leslie Smith kind of, started a union against the UFC, and then, she was doing really well before that. And she's a girl that really, like, she's out there protesting. She's just somebody that, like, makes a difference in this world. And all the respect to Leslie. And, like, I'll never forget, she wanted to do comedy. She had, like, a kidney, and she had like a cancerous tumor removed, like, from her stomach, and then still did a show that night. She's like everybody that I've ever known. She's tough. She's legit. Tyrell Fortune, who is an amazing wrestler, amazing fighter. Jack May, that fight should probably be Tyrell Fortune just knocking him the fuck out. And I like Jack May, but Fortune's a guy that they were touting as the next big thing. He ran into my man who is the strip club driver, Uber driver from Omaha, Nebraska. Who am I thinking about?
Timothy Johnson.
Timothy Johnson. Timothy Johnson knocked him out, but he's coming back.
I love that description was instantaneous for Weendo. Strip club driver, Timothy Johnson. That's Timothy Johnson.
LFA this Friday night.
Like sometimes, usually you have it, Weendo. Usually you're right on top. But every now and then you're like, oh, it takes you a couple of guesses. But that one took no time. That was an immediate connection for you.
His wife's pregnant too, by the way. Tim Johnson, beautiful wife. Well, I mean, Tim Johnson is just like this huge bear of a guy. His wife is like 5'3", petite, beautiful thing. Like, you wonder how they have sex. You ever see like that where you're just like,
oh yeah, you're like, ooh, he wrecked that. He broke it. He bought it. Jesus.
Like, I mean, like with like McCorkle. Like, how does McCorkle fuck? Like, his girlfriend's this petite, beautiful thing. He's fucking like 350, like 6'9". I mean, how does that? Is he just getting the tip in? Is that what's happening?
Who knows? They obviously are very flexible. And I would make, and anytime I would see that in the crowd, I would always say something like, "Well, I hope she's on top every time."
Yeah.
Because otherwise, all you're going to see are little hands and feet sticking out to the side. Hey, help me!
Dude, one of your jokes, by the way, ruined my sex with my wife sometimes. Your Mandingo joke, where you go like Mandingo. Anytime my wife does that, I think of you and that stupid fucking joke.
That's funny.
Also, Chitty Bang, Chitty Njokuowski, awesome fighter. I don't know why he got cut from Bellator. Makes no sense. He's headlining the LFA. Shout out to Chitty. Love that dude. In the UFC, they're having the first ever African-American female or black female. Should you say African-American or black? Which is the PC?
Doesn't matter.
I think we're back to black. I think African-American was like kind of 90s, 2000s, and I think like it's just back to black.
Okay, first ever black female. Angela Hill is headlining. First ever black female headlining against the Karate Hottie.
Yeah.
Super happy, but for her, I think she wins this fight.
Yep.
I do too. I really do too.
Angie steps it up. She's a gamer.
And she's tough as nails too.
I think she's on her way up. I think Michelle's kind of on her way down.
Angela definitely still seems to be improving her game. Every fight, she seems to have a broader skill set. Like every time, she seems to have learned more. She's bringing more into the fight. Whereas Michelle Waterston definitely seems to have plateaued.
By the way, when Tracy Cortez came to the fight, came to my show, I was talking about how hot she was. She came with she's got 15 brothers and sisters and cousins, Mexicans, a beautiful Mexican family and friends. And I was like, this girl's so hot. It's the only time during her fight, the corner applied Vaseline to himself.
Do you have any COVID paranoia now that you're back? Because like anytime I'm around people at all, like for the next 9 days, like, oh, do I have it? If I did, do I have it?
Yeah.
And I can't help. Do you feel that at all? Because you went fully out of state. You were around a bunch of people. I mean, how was the spacing in the club?
I had a headache driving back. I'm not gonna lie. And then I was like convinced I had COVID. But then I ate food.
That's what it is. Exactly. It's that you get any little thing and you're like, that's it. I got it. Oh, it wasn't worth it. Why did I do it? It's so built up,
Arizona's like, might as well be like Nebraska. I mean, they
don't give a fuck, huh?
They're just like, they don't care, My Joe Biden jokes did a lot better than my Trump jokes there. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure. I'm 1,000% sure of that.
So, I mean, Trump jokes did well too, but Joe Biden, I think a lot more comedians are making fun of Trump than Joe Biden. So I think people appreciate the fact that you make fun of everybody.
I would agree with that. I mean, if you're going to do one, you should do the other.
There's a lot to make fun of Joe Biden.
Unfortunately, yes.
So Roxanne Modafari, my training partner, taking on Andrea Lee.
Look at Andrea Lee.
Andrea Lee is beautiful. Came to my show. Super cool.
She photographs well.
This is the rematch from Invicta, which Roxanne won. I like both these girls as people. Me and Roxanne train together. Tough as hell. This could be a good fight. Really good fight. I know Roxanne actually has been taking this quarantine very, very seriously. She works out like crazy.
Well, listen, if you've been training with her, then she is ready to win the New England Tri-State 8th grade wrestling championship.
Four-time
8th grade wrestling championship.
Four-time Class A New England champion. I was only the third person in the history of the tournament to ever do it. Okay, my record won't be broken. Well,
it can't be broken. You can only win it 4 years.
Well, you can win it 5 years. No, because they almost didn't let me because I entered it in 8th grade and took 5th. So Matt Snell versus Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam keeps asking me to roast him. And he's like a hard guy to roast. Matt Snell's the guy that was on that show on MTV. They had a reality show called Caged. And this should be a good fight. Matt Snell's a good fighter. This should be good. Tyson Nam was on a 3-fight losing streak. And but he's good. He's got power.
He's off a win. He was on a 2-fight losing streak, but now he's off a win. KO punch over Zaruk Adashev.
Yeah. Should be a good fight. I think I got Snell on this one. Bobby Green's back. Fighting Alan Patrick. I don't know anything about Alan Patrick.
I don't either. Yeah.
Ed Herman's fighting. Love the Angry Ginger. Julia Avila, who's coming off a big win. It's against Jara Eubanks, who's the best 5-4 fighter ever. Great fighter. She misses weight or she won the Ultimate Fighter. This should be a good fight.
Oh wow.
He's got power. Brian Barberena, another guy. He was
Barberena.
He lived in Arizona. Then he went out to I think he has like a ranch in Tennessee. Taking on Anthony Ivy and Brock Weaver, people liked him, but then they accused him of dog fighting. I guess he posted his dog had like a missing ear or had an ear bite, and he fought the neighbor's dog. So I guess it was just like a isolated incident. He's not an actual dog fighter. It just happened to be.
Yeah, and that can happen.
Yeah, but it's still don't fucking post about it. Be a little smarter than that. But he's fighting Frank Camacho, a guy who just fucking always brings it. So this is a good fight card.
That's a good fight.
Bellator, again, is on Saturday. I like Bellator because they have secret fights. You have to, have a code, and you have to know somebody. to tell you. Like, I had no idea there was a fight Friday and Saturday in Bellator.
What?
Did you? Yeah.
I have
do
no
they do
idea.
that?
I
Don't
see
tell anybody. This is like a real fight club. Bellator.
but they're going, and so they're directly going up against. Maybe they're trying not to draw too much attention from the UFC. I mean, by putting a fight directly against theirs, maybe that's what it is. I mean,
Well, they got a great. First of all, the card's great, and they just made a deal with CBS Sports. So I don't know if they're going to be. If they're on CBS and Showtime, that'll be great. If they just go on CBS Sports, it's going to be over for them. But if they go on CBS, it'll be great for them. So Juan Archuleta, who I love, this dude's great. He's taking on Patrick Mix, who's like 13-0. This dude's a stud and a half. He might be the future in Bellator. That's Saturday night. And Archuleta, though, is a fucking beast of a fighter. He's like, what's his record? Like 27-2 or something?
24-2.
24-2.
Yeah.
13-0. John Fitch is fighting Neiman Gracie. I don't know who I know Neiman Gracie is good. What's his record?
He's 9-1.
9-1. Who did he lose to?
What?
Did he
Oh, who did
Ed
he
Ruth?
lose to? Oh, Roy McDonald was his last
Okay, yeah,
loss,
he
his
lost to
only
Rory,
loss.
but that was a good fight. He beat Ed Ruth. So him against John Fitch is a good fighter, a good fight. Because John Fitch is a guy that can beat anybody. I mean, he's a little long in the tooth, but
I was gonna say John Fitch has been. Yeah, I was gonna say he's not what he was. I mean,
yeah, I mean
it's been a while since he was in the main card.
Well, it's the main card of Bellator. Deanna Bennett.
You mean the secret main card that they're not telling anybody about? That main card, the one that's not listed on their website as a main card.
So Deanna Bennett, who is the best, she came to my show. She's so awkward. Like her post-fight speeches, she just starts rambling. It's like every bad Tinder date you ever been to. She's kind of hot too. She came to my show. She's smoking hot. She's fighting Liz Carmouche, who no one even knows is in Bellator. It was a good fight.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think she was a Marine, Carmouche. Hits hard as hell. And then Ty Guerder, who's the boyfriend of Jessie Jess.
What?
Nice Hawaiian guy.
Oh, now Ween Dog's paying attention.
They live in a trailer together, I think, in Northern California.
Wait, what's his name? I don't see him on the card.
Ty Guerder.
No, I don't see him. It's on Bellator?
Yeah.
It's the secret card. The
Corey,
secret card.
By the way, speaking of secret things, I love when I didn't point it out, but Greg was in a movie that I thought was going to be your big break because
That's right.
at the peak of Paris Hilton's fame, and Greg was like the third lead in it, and you think somebody with like 1 billion followers on MySpace, and MySpace was the thing.
Yeah.
To translate, it didn't do that well in the theaters. You were great in it. You were hilarious. You stole the movie. It's called The Hottie and the Naughty.
That's right.
But Greg is a guy that he's not going anywhere. He's on the #1 show on Wednesday nights on ABC.
I know you meant that as a compliment. In other words, like I'm staying in this business. I'm always working. But it sounded like he's not going anywhere.
I know.
His career stalled at the Hottie and the Naughty in 2007. He's not a guy that's going anywhere.
I meant you have tenacity.
I know. It was just funny the way you said it.
It's like I think Brendan Schaub's like, they laughed when they said I was a comic. No one's laughing now. But
no, it was just funny. Somebody was moving. A bunch of people are moving out of LA these days. So someone was moving, and they were like, "You're not gonna believe what I found in my garage." And it was an old. This is a Blockbuster video from the Hottie and the Naughty. And that's what they said. They sent it to me. There was no, but it's such a relic in time. It was a 2-day rental. So the late fees have got to be incredible on this.
Dude, when I was, I made a DVD a long time ago, and it's like you could find it like in the dollar store now, and like people always take pictures of it. Like one comic that like I never even heard of was like, oh, hopefully one day I'll be in the dollar store too, in Kmart or something, whatever, or dollar store, whatever. And I wrote back, you'll never make it that far. So,
it's like, well, you'll be lucky if you get to the dollar store.
Exactly. Well, listen, that's our show today. It was a fun show. I don't know what happened to Don Frye.
You know, old people always have their phones at like 15% battery.
Yeah, you're like, his damn thing ain't working.
Right now, let me tell you something. He's still doing the show. He doesn't realize it's ended. He doesn't realize he's still fully doing the show. We just can't see it.
Tell me he isn't like the best though.
He's surprisingly nice, but he's a total character.
But like in the day and age of like all these people like being PC and saying this and saying that, he just doesn't give a shit. And like,
well, he's a combination tough guy and old. So when you get to that age, you don't give a shit anymore. No, what are you going to take away from me? Forget it. You know,
not tough guy, toughest guy.
Exactly, toughest guy. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody that's tougher than Don Frye.
The guy's a legend, and his stories are phenomenal.
He entered a K1 tournament against a K1 champion without ever throwing a kick before.
That reminds me. Did you guys watch Fight Circus? I didn't mean to cut you off, Greg, but did you watch Fight Circus?
No.
What is it?
It's free on YouTube as of right now. I think I watched the whole thing on YouTube.
I'm making a Fight Circus.
Yeah, it's called Fight Circus Full Metal Dojo. It's like a new fight promotion out of Thailand where they just put together the most ridiculous, idiotic fights. Like they had one like amateur MMA guy versus two like midget Filipino dudes, and they had like a giant like 700-pound guy versus like a Muay Thai kickboxer. It's just the most ridiculous fight you could possibly imagine.
You know what? I like that they called it a circus because that's what it is. It's like a Roman circus where they would just throw Christians to tigers.
I heard the announcer's pretty funny. I heard like a guy was against a girl and they were like, what if he gets a boner? Like,
yeah. The commentators are hilarious. The ring announcer is hilarious. Everybody's like talking shit, saying bad words. There's like a weird, awkward moment where they had like these two like Thai fighters. They're chicks. They're like 120 pounds. They were fighting. One was obviously a professional and one was like a very, very amateur fighter. And the amateur girl started just to cry in like the second round. And she started to cry throughout the entire fight. It was very kind of depressing to watch. But if you're a sick fuck like me, that's pure entertainment gold, dude.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, this is the type of thing that I'm like, oh, God, what are we doing? But at the same time, I'm like, but I got to see this. This might be pretty amazing.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it by myself. But if like –
What are you going to watch with your daughter?
No, but if somebody – if like you came over or like I had a friend come over, we're just bored, I might put it on and smoke some weed and just laugh. I would almost feel dirty.
I got to take a look at it.
Yeah. Well, listen – tomorrow we have an Olympian wrestler coming on, female Olympian wrestler. Super excited about that. And we have a great show. Everything's great.
Excellent.
It's very exciting.
Football starts this week, buddy. Football's back. Starts on Thursday night.
How are the Jets going to do?
Not good. It's the coach. It's not the talent. They've got talent. Adam Gase is a fucking tool. So it's not the team's fault. It's definitely the coach's fault out there at the Jets. They're just not a smart organization. They just do dumb shit.
How's their quarterback?
Sam Darnold, listen, he was statistically very decent his rookie season last year. So he's in position. He should do better this season. He has every reason to be. He's got fairly decent weapons. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, if they can figure out how to use him appropriately, they should have a decent season.
Oh, tomorrow we have Victoria Anthony, Team USA wrestler, Olympic journey, good vibe activist. She wants you to be honest, authentic, grateful, help, give. Beautiful girl too, as well. Very excited about having her on the podcast. Victoria Anthony.
Cool.
So yeah, excited about that. We also have Sean McCorkle coming back.
Oh boy.
And it's gonna be fun. Greg.
Now, does McCorkle still just do his roast of what's the other guy, or is he just?
He's been sitting in. No, he's actually been sitting in a couple times.
Okay.
Everybody canceled on me. That's what he wanted. He only wanted to do like 2 minutes, but then everybody canceled. I had no show, so I was like, "Hey, can you sit in for like an hour?" And he was the best. So
does he do Adderall? Does he take Adderall too?
No.
You don't think?
I take Adderall.
Why? No, I don't. McCorkle's. I mean, I think he takes a lot. I think he takes every steroid known to man.
Maybe that's what it is, because he always seems like he's a little. And to me, it feels Adderall-y. It's like low-grade coke talk.
One of my funniest stories. So it was like the week before he fought Pujanowski, and he was jacked. I mean, he was wearing we were at a bar, came to my show, drove like 4 hours to come see me. I never met him before. We go out to a bar. He's wearing like a tight Affliction shirt where like, I mean, he looked like a Greek god, right? And I was like, hey, how's it going? And he goes, I'm on 12 different kind of steroids right now. This is like his opening, right? So this is when he started. So we're at a bar, and there's like this nerdy kid with us who's like a huge MMA fan. Like, he was like, I think he might have been the opening comic. It was like a nice, like a real, like, it's a real nerdy guy, you know, glasses, kind of, and he's like starstruck about Sean. And we're at a college bar, and some fucking college kid, like, he like knocks his beer over, total accident. And the guy goes, what? Like, to the nerdy kid. Sean sees this, and his eyes get like wide open, right? Like, I've never seen it. And I go, Sean, before that, Sean, do you think steroids is having, can't you get roid rage? And he's like, honestly, I'm the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And then that happened, and he goes over to the guy. He grabs this guy, right? He lifts him like 2 feet off the fucking ground. Like, the college kid my size. Just listen, he goes, I will beat the fuck out of you and then fuck you in the ass, right? I've never seen fear. Like, I mean, this kid was just like, did not know what, I mean, he probably shit himself. His whole group of like 20 kids ran away. They fucking scurried. Right? But then the rest of the night, Sean's angry at that kid. Like, I'm like, dude, the guy was an idiot. Sean can't think of anything else but this kid. So then I talked to Sean the next day. Hey, thanks for coming to the show, yada, yada. He goes, I spent 6 hours in my pickup truck looking for that kid last night.
Oh my God.
But roid rage isn't real.
I go, dude, but don't you have a fight. You're fighting in like Japan tomorrow, whatever. He goes, I don't care. I hate bullies.
I'm gonna fall and finish the job. Oh,
like, what would he have done to him? He had a shotgun in the car. Who knows? I mean,
probably would have thrown him around like a rag doll. That's for sure.
Right, probably, but I mean, he already threatened to like rape him and beat him up. I mean, what else could he have done to him? You know.
Those two things would be enough.
Anyway, thank you guys so much, and take care. Bye-bye.